On what ground?
And if I'm good and ready to press record, I'll press record right now.
Well,
so
okay then.
Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, my darling.
How are you?
I am good.
Yeah, well, here we are, yet another beautiful Saturday morning with our On What Grounds podcast. Woo! Fanfare!
Woo.
Where's the fanfare?
What's up, party people?
Hey!
Hey.
All right, enough
yeah.
of that madness.
All right.
Yeah, so what do we feel like talking about today?
I know we've been talking about some different things, and I like that we're not doing it like, oh, this is a whole episode, but just to start. So, movies. Mm-hmm. Let's start with movies. And the first thing that I like to say this week, Brendan Fraser, and I apologize, I can't remember the other guy.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I want to say Ke Huy Quan, but I could be totally wrong. And Short Round, if you're listening, I am so sorry. You can correct us if you want to. Please give us a call. Email us.
Yeah, if we're mispronouncing, we apologize. And of course, it's like, hey, they were both in Encino Man together, and you had never seen Encino Man. Mm-mm. I loved Encino Man growing up. I hadn't seen it since, like, basically the last time I watched Encino Man, it was on a VHS tape. It's been that long since I've seen it. And it was on Amazon to rent for like 99 cents, and it's like...
But I had my promotional credits, so it didn't cost me a dime.
Right.
So.
Yeah, but I was kind of sitting there, it's like, you know what? I would give you $1 if you just asked me for it. So it's like, let's watch the movie.
What's $1?
Yeah.
$1 is, it's $1 less that I have to spend on, a soda or, a chocolate bar. Put it towards a good experience, like a movie that I'd never seen before. I can't believe I've gone 31 years without ever having seen that movie. And I regret it. Because it was a lot of fun. I got a lot of kicks out of it.
Honestly, like, seeing it again as an adult, as a 41-year-old man, I really enjoyed how much that movie holds up. Like, I mean, obviously it's a product of its time. Like, and you know how I told you it's like, I know I said it was almost kind of like an end of an era movie, but honestly, I think it's kind of like an in-between movie. Like, it bridges the gap. So it's like, before that you had movies like, One Crazy Summer, Revenge of the Nerds, Bill and Ted. So it's like, it's definitely like that type of movie, like, the kid in high school and he's a dweeb and there's a bully and
Breakfast
he meets a girl.
Club. Or how about like the Brat Pack movies?
Like, just like that kind of like fun movie. And then in the 90s, then stuff kind of shifted towards like Empire Records, and of course another Brendan Fraser movie, Airheads. So it's like, you definitely saw that shift, and it's like, I felt like Encino Man was like right in the middle. It was kind of like that.
I got a funny one for you. I'm not 100% sure if I've ever seen Airheads. Have I ever seen Airheads? I know.
I know. We watched it together. But if you
did, I don't remember it, and we need to watch it again. But it's not. I'm not remembering anything about it.
That is definitely a fun movie too, and we'll definitely do that. Mm-hmm. And in fact, speaking on that movie, I'll always remember Airheads because that was the first time I was ever introduced to White Zombie, because White Zombie is playing on a live show in that movie.
How have I missed watching this movie for, when did that come out? Mid-90s?
Something like that,
93, 94?
Like when that movie came out, it was like either like a little before or just around the time of like when Astro Creep was released. So
when did Astro Creep come out? Wait a minute. I was about 15, 16 years old. And when was I 15? Wait a minute. Do I want to let our listeners know how old I am? I would want to say maybe 93, 94 then.
All right, let me look it up.
Anybody that's listening, do your math. How old is Kristina?
Can we look that up, JD? Can you check it out, JD? Can we look up?
I'll bet you Astro Creep was 93.
That is a good question, but Airheads was 94.
Oh, okay.
Let me look up Astro Creep now. Let's see. Sorry, a little moment of silence.
We can edit that out.
Believe it or not, Astro Creep was 95. So I was right.
Really?
The movie came up before Astro Creep, and I remember that too, because it's like...
Astro Creep, was that the one that had Thunderkiss on it?
No, that was La Sexor Sisto.
Okay, so you know what? My bad. That's what I was thinking of. When did that album come out?
Let me look that up. But yeah,
that's the one that had Black Sunshine on it, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, Astro Creep had like More Human Than Human, Supercharger Heaven. Yeah,
right.
and great record, fun record. Honestly, the only drawback on it is that I think it like basically is the Godfather album for like all the new metal that came out after it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's honestly that record still holds up for me too.
But another question for you too. In conjunction with Astro Creep, is that the album that had his version of I'm Your Boogeyman on it? Because remember how that was in
the Crow City of Angels soundtrack.
Yes.
No, they did that just for the soundtrack.
It wasn't on one of his own albums.
No, in fact, that was kind of one of the fun things about White Zombie is that they, most of the time, they almost always recorded a new song for a soundtrack that they were going to be on. Mm-hmm. Even like going back to Airheads, like the song that's on Airheads was never put on an album. They did that song just for the soundtrack. And that was definitely a cool song. It's funny, like I was even thinking about it because like listening to that song, I would never write a song with a hook where I yell, "Hey yeah." Hey yeah. And it's like I listen to the song and I love it and it's like, hey, maybe it's like, nope, I'll never write a song like that, never.
Well, apparently Rob Zombie has made a fuck ton of money off of exactly that term. Because he's put that in plenty of his songs, hasn't he? But that's his shtick.
Yep.
That's his little.
It's like,
that's his thing that he does.
You can be famous for doing something well, famous for doing something first, or be famous for having a personality. And let's face it, he's got a personality. Yeah. He does.
I'll always remember. Just thinking of now we're talking about Rob Zombie for a hot second. I'll always remember the time we saw him in concert, and it was at Mohegan. And Marilyn Manson, opened, or was it just them two? Was it Manson and Rob Zombie, or was there somebody before Manson?
There was a DJ that played before. I don't even remember who it was, but all I remember is the DJ like sampled a line from Grandma's Boy that nobody fucks with a lion. And it was like, no, nobody fucks with a lion, no. And yeah, they did that. Manson went on next.
But I remember that, unfortunately. I mean, as much as like growing up and being raised, listening to a lot of Marilyn Manson, I was kind of disappointed in his set. It was a little lazy. I think he could have done a little bit better.
Yeah.
But Rob Zombie comes on and just, compensated for it.
Yeah.
No, he did a great job. Very, very entertaining. Actually, we've seen him twice because we saw him, where was that, Chicago?
We saw him at Rise Fest do Astro Creep from start to finish.
Yeah, the whole album. That was wild.
You could definitely criticize Rob Zombie, like, because, I'll definitely say this, because let's face it, he jumps around on stage a lot that he's so winded all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like he never really gets a full breath to, like, do his vocals. But let me tell you something, when they opened with Electric Head Part 1, he just stood there with a mic stand and he totally belted it out, and he was perfect when he did that. You got the turn me on you, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm a teenager. Yay! I'm a teenager again. Oh my, like he fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
And it was great. And then, of course they do Supercharger Heaven. They do Real Solution number 9. Like, I saw them do Real Solution number 9 and I'm like, how come you don't still play the song live, like, solo? Because it's like, that song is a really good live song to see. It's like they have the green lighting. Johnny Five put on this like wicked, they all put on these wicked creepy masks and the lighting, and you got the I'm already dead, I'm already dead, I'm already dead, and it's like this is fucking great. And of course the icing on the cake was Misfits went on after them, and that was awesome too.
That was the same one.
It was the exact same show. Okay. And I know it was a little hard for you to see because of everybody around us was my height.
Yeah, that's one thing I'll just never understand. I feel like every concert I have ever been to, it kind of sucks being a little bit on the shorter side. I'm technically 5'1"3/4. That 3/4 counts.
Yeah.
Every single millimeter of it counts, millimeter. No, but anyways, I feel like every concert I've ever been to, I have somebody that's like 7 foot tall in front of me. No. And they just stand there like a statue, like a big stone statue, and they don't move. They just stand there with their legs spread, and they're just, I swear their shoulders suddenly get broader, and they just stand there, and suddenly it looks like they're 8 feet tall, like 8 by 5, And it doesn't matter if I shift off to one side a little bit, because suddenly they're going to move a little bit to that side. Or else if I shift over to the other side, suddenly they're moving the other way. They don't want me to see the concert. It's not fair. And those people need to...
You know what?
They need to knock it the fuck off.
You know what they should do? You know what, like, at least, like,
so much.
shows, festivals should do this, and you know what? It will be another revenue stream, like, sell or rent,
booster
like,
seats for the short people.
or step stools. And it's like,
step stools.
but you know what, the other side of that, too, is
God.
that somebody's going to take one of those, and they're going to bash somebody's head in with it.
Can we pause it for a second?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, pause it. Hurry up.
Sorry.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. And we're back. Sorry about that. There was a phone call with a situation. But now we're back in it. Where I left off on was talking about step stools at shows. And that would be a good moneymaker for people that needed them. But at the same time, there would be the risk of people bashing each other in the head with them. So that probably wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I guess.
Like, oh my god, it's a projectile. Yay, woo. Psh.
I guess that's what balconies are for, I guess.
I think Sammy Sam wants to come over here and say something. He's giving me all kinds of attention right now, looking out the window and say, hey, do you want to weigh in on this conversation, Sammy? Like, no, not really. I just want to look outside and look at squirrels, birds. What else do you see? Are there people out there? Are you getting excited? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you see somebody outside.
He's kind of looking excited. Yeah, it's a neighbor walking around out there.
But you know what?
Yeah. Anyways.
I would like to come back to Encino Man.
Yeah.
Because, again, us watching it, there were so many people that were in it that I didn't even remember were in it.
I love when we do that, too. When we watch a movie we haven't seen in a while, and it's like, it ends up turning into a let's spot the actor kind of thing. Yeah.
So it's like,
who did we see?
Of course, Brendan Fraser, and I believe it was like his first movie, which is awesome. Sean Astin, I don't remember him doing a movie like before that, like at that age. I mean, I think Rudy came out first, but I don't remember that for sure. But it's like being introduced to Sean Astin, who was not in Goonies, basically, like not the kid Sean Astin. I'm
gonna look up right now and see when did Rudy come out.
Nice.
Rudy movie. 93. It came out a year after, right? When did Encino Man come out?
You know what?
Encino Man was 92.
I believe so. So then
Encino Man 92. Yep. So Rudy came out a year later.
So then I would assume then like that was like his first like movie. Like we were introduced to that Sean Astin basically. Mm-hmm. And of course we got Pauly Shore. I believe that was like his first real movie too. And of course the other dude. Whoa, dude, this bowl is chilling. And I don't mean like chilling, bro. It's chilling.
Chillin'.
Yeah. So like, and again, you've got all these people in this movie. Everybody's charming as fuck. It's fun, and it's like it still holds up. I did not realize that, I can't remember her name, but the girl from The Craft, was it Robin
Tunney?
Mm-hmm. And of course, like when I'm young, I totally had a crush on her. And, you know, she's like, Estonia's so far away, and I'm right here. It's like, you certainly are. But also, I didn't remember even that Rose McGowan was in the movie, and she has like 2 scenes in the whole movie. Yeah,
but still, it's like there's no mistaking that face, and it's like, holy shit! Oh my god, I know you, another face. And I meant to look up. Remember the 2 kids? The 2 guys, and I told you, oh, that guy looks familiar.
Oh, yeah.
I still haven't looked him up, so while we're talking, I'm going to quickly look him up.
Yep.
It was the 2 guys, they weren't the jamming ones, the ones that were like dancing or
they
anything.
Were.
They were?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of them just looked really, really familiar to me. So let me go to trusty old IMDb.
Yeah, but also Matt Wilson, the douchebag bully. I didn't realize he was Dom DeLuise's kid. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even remember him being in Wayne's World. He's, the camera guy. And we're clear. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I didn't remember that. And here's a big thing. The band that's at the end of the movie, like during the prom, I didn't even realize that was Infectious Grooves. And it's like, holy shit, like watching the credits, holy shit, that was Infectious Grooves. And like, I'm looking at the scene, I'm looking at the guy, it's like, I know that guy. What is that? So, and again, when I saw the movie, my age, I didn't even know who Infectious Grooves were.
Yeah.
But, like, being able to see them now as an adult, I was like, holy fucking shit, that's Infectious Grooves. But yeah, cool movie, fun movie. If you've never seen it, I recommend it. It's a fun time, and it's 99 cents on Amazon right now to rent.
Okay, so that guy, so I found him on IMDb. So the kid that I'm referring to, if this picture closes out. All right, so the actor's name is Jack Noseworthy. Noseworthy. Very noteworthy.
See, and I gotta say, oh, sorry. Yeah,
sorry, but let me just see, like, why the hell do I know him? Why is he so familiar to me? He was in the movie Alive. That was a good movie. Did you ever see? You've seen that. Everybody's seen Alive. That was such a horrible story, but also just a really good story at the same time. And he's been in a bunch of stuff that I haven't seen. And of course, I feel like every actor under the sun has been on at least one episode of Law and Order.
Yeah.
It's almost like that's a rite of passage, it seems. But he's been on Law and Order. He's been on TV shows. Nothing that I've ever seen, but he just looks so familiar. Dennis the Menace, Christmas. I didn't see that.
Yeah. Coming back to Law and Order, though, even like Pedro Pascal. I mean, I've been seeing those memes popping up where like oh my god, I love Law and Order goth Pedro Pascal. Have you seen those shots?
No,
he was on Law and Order and he played like a goth kid and he's got a pentagram on his hand and like I think he even talked about it on that episode of Hot Ones 2 or something like that or one of those things. I don't know.
I do get a kick out of the Hot Ones.
Yeah.
Some of those are so hilarious.
But looking at that actor that you're looking up as
he was in Event Horizon.
I was just about to ask you that if he was in Event Horizon because as an adult I'm like I know that guy.
Yep.
For the record,
I'm sorry. One more. He was also. Did you ever see the movie Breakdown with Kurt Russell?
Yes. Yep.
So good. He was in that.
That movie bothered me a little bit.
Yes, It bothered me. It bothered a lot of people. Like those movies actually. Because Breakdown. Did that... Maybe I hope I'm not confusing my movies, but Breakdown, is there basically a chase between like a tractor trailer and other people in that? It's been a little while since I've seen it.
Yeah, again, I've only seen it one time. And
oh man,
again,
I was just there.
It's been so long.
Just looking at it.
I saw that movie on VHS too. Like that's how long it's been.
Okay. Let's break this one down. All right. So J.T. Walsh was in it along with Kurt Russell and Kathleen Quinlan, who I have a soft spot for her. MC Gainey, Jack Noseworthy. All right. So what is the plot on this one? A man searches for his missing wife after his car breaks down in the middle of the desert. Such a good fucking movie. And now that we're talking about it, I want to watch it sometime soon because it's been years. But you know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of the movie Duel. Did you ever see that?
Of course. I saw that movie like in a class.
Because it's an important movie to experience at least once in your life.
Yeah.
No, so the movie Duel, if anybody that's listening has never seen that movie, take an hour and 30 minutes out of your life and watch it. 1971 movie. A business commuter is pursued and terrorized by the malevolent. Is that how you pronounce it?
Malevolent.
No, malevolent. Thank you. Driver of a massive tractor trailer. And holy shit, that movie still to this day, if you watch it, you'll just be at the edge of your seat in certain moments, just like, oh my god! But yeah, it's super, super good. Watch it. Did we happen to make mention to any of our listeners just how full of spoilers this podcast is probably going to be?
Spoilers.
I'll be sure to put that in the description when I post it up.
You know what? We're just talking. I mean,
yeah, we're just talking and everything. You know what? I'm sure that people that are listening to this have, seen probably a fair share of the movies that, we're going to be talking about. Can we? I really need to get this off my chest.
Okay. Can
we talk about Nope?
We can. Before we do, though, can I just circle back around? We're going to come back to it.
Okay.
Because you brought up Event Horizon.
Yes.
And
that movie bothered the shit out of me.
I fucking love that movie. It's a flawed movie. Mm-hmm. And obviously studios have cut it up, and it's a shame that, like, the extra footage that was supposed to be in it, like, burned up in a fire. So, like, all those, like, super gory, creepy, like, blood orgy shit is gone. But, like, the movie on its own as a concept is fucking awesome. Yeah. And Sam Neill is creepy as fucking. The ship is very much alive, and it's like, oh, dude, like, and like
Remember
and I know
to make mention of Sam Neill afterwards. But go ahead, sorry.
But just like even like and again, spoiler, they take her out of the tube. It's like, it's all right, you're safe now, and he lifts up the helmet, and Sam Neill's like, you're with us, and it's like, ooh, like, and a song that I really enjoy by a band called Anal Nathrak, song that they did called the Techno Goat, which we saw them live at Maryland Death Fest years ago, and I was extremely disappointed that they did not play one song off of that fucking album that I love by them. Like, the Codex Necro, I love that album. They did not play one song off of that album, and I was very disappointed in that, but they still killed it. They were really good. But I love that song, and they take two samples from that movie. In the middle you just hear, the dark inside me. Yeah, but coming back to it, that is a movie. I'm going to put this out there. I'm putting this out into the world. I would love to see Hulu remake Event Horizon, because I think Hulu has had a really
streaming channel.
Yeah, well, here's why. Hulu has had a really good track record with reboots and remakes so far. Like Prey. I mean, I know it's not a remake, but it's like Prey was a good movie. Like, I really enjoyed Prey.
I watched that too, right?
That's the Predator movie where it's back in the past, and it's an indigenous tribe. And
it was really good.
I mean, and the CG on the animals is a little jarring, but I mean the story is good, the acting is good. I would have loved to have seen that movie completely filmed in Comanche with subtitles. If they did that, that probably would be like my new favorite movie. Mm-hmm. But like even in English, like it doesn't completely take away from it. And if you haven't seen it, I enjoyed it. I liked it. Mm-hmm. So it's like Hulu is doing even the Hellraiser movie. And yes, I'm going to talk about all that because I know some people are like, oh my god, I can't believe they cast her in the role. It's like, you know what? She killed it. She was a really good Pinhead, and it's like, you don't have to be a man to play Pinhead. They've had two male actors after Doug Bradley play him, and they were underwhelming. She had it. Like, the tone of the movie was right. Like, for me, Hellraiser really needs to have that, because it's like, you think about it, it's like, oh, well, it's a box. Hey, don't open the box, and you're fine. You don't have a movie. But the whole fact that it's like people want to open the box. It's like the experiencing like the far reaches of both pleasure and pain, and like the far limits, and it's like people can't help themselves, like they want to know. And it's like the new movie, I think, really taps into that, like be careful what you wish for thing too, because they definitely had that monkey's paw element where it's like, I'm sorry again, spoilers, but like people need to get sacrificed, and then when you get there you get that choice, and like the choice is like seeing their real results. Oh, Sammy.
The neighbors must be coming out.
Yeah, Sammy's making noises.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I really liked the new Hellraiser movie. I thought the effects were good. The acting a little bit at the beginning between the brother and the sister, it's like, oh, come on, but the brother doesn't last. Mm-hmm. But like, I would like to see if...
Can we pause it again for a
second?
Right.
Oh, sorry. I'll get back into it. Pause. Yeah. All right, and we're back. And sorry, got to finish my tangent.
Gotta finish your ramble?
Yep. So, Event Horizon, remake on Hulu. Mm-hmm. Hulu's had a good track record, I think. They've definitely been handling their reboots, remakes with care, or sequels with care. Mm-hmm. I think Event Horizon would be a good film for them to tackle. Here are some thoughts. Sam Neill's character.
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
And here are two reasons for that. One, because he definitely has that, hey, I'm British, so I must be smart kind of presence.
Yeah.
Just like Sam Neill, but also...
I think he's Australian, just to be a little technical.
You know what? I actually, you know what?
I think
I looked it up. I actually think he's Irish.
Are you kidding? I'm going to look it up right now.
Okay. Well, while you're going to look it up, I'm going to state that's one reason why you pick him. Another reason is that Michael Fassbender has actually...
Northern Ireland. Oh. Yep. Yeah, I stand corrected. That's awesome.
Michael Fassbender was in Blood Creek, and
mm-hmm.
he's already shown that he looks really good in prosthetic makeup. I'm going to show you these pictures right now. So it's like, I'll show you these pictures.
And then I have something else to say about Sam Neill.
But look at him there. So it's like
yeah.
you see the way that he looks in Blood Creek. I mean,
Yep.
he could very easily pull that ending off in
Totally.
Event Horizon.
All right, Sam Neill, I got this quick to say. So he was born in Northern Ireland, but his parents are Army parents. His mother, English born, and his father, New Zealand. His family moved to the South Island of New Zealand in 1954. So he was born in 47, so he was 7 years old when they moved to New Zealand. So sure, he was born in Northern Ireland, but, New Zealand...
So wait, just to confirm, you're talking about Sam Neill?
Yes.
I'm talking about Michael Fassbender.
No, I know, but I wanted to go back to Sam Neill for a second.
Okay, but
Sorry.
so they're both Irish actors.
Michael Fassbender is?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, when I said he's Irish, I meant Michael Fassbender is an Irish actor.
Michael.
Babe, I've literally got it on my phone right here.
Oh.
Okay.
Whoops.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
My bad.
All right.
Oh, yeah, Northern Ireland.
All right, so Michael Fassbender is Sam Neill's character.
Mm-hmm.
Coming back to that guy that was in Encino Man, because that actor...
The nose guy?
Yeah.
Knows something or other?
Because
I'm terrible.
Yeah, because he played Baby Bear in that movie. The one that put himself in the lock, and he's about to inject himself out into space, and then he gets his senses back, and he's like, where am I? What are we doing? And, like, they save his life, even though he's, like, about to, like, his head's about to explode in space, and then...
I gotta say it right. Jack Noseworthy. 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 Not noteworthy, it's Noseworthy.
Yeah.
That's an interesting name.
But so Baby Bear's character, Tom Holland.
Oh,
Yeah. So Disney contracts I'm sure are really weird and extensive. I don't even know if he's even allowed to be in a horror movie or anything like that, because I know that there are contracts where you're required to do certain things. But
it's funny that I brought up Kathleen Quinlan because we were talking about Breakdown before, because she's also in Event Horizon.
No kidding.
Yep.
Nice.
So small world. Sammy, what are you doing?
I would be curious to see Tom
Shenanigans.
Holland. Oh,
sorry,
Sammy.
Sorry, he's just looking a little curiously around different things in the room. So
yeah.
What are you up to? Just simmer down now. Simmer down.
He's just hanging out.
Yeah.
He's okay. Are you just
He's
hanging out?
Curious about everything right now. I think he's really worked up from that little walk that I took him on this morning.
Yeah, and thank you for doing that too.
Well,
thank you for.
It's good for them. Yeah. Gets them out, gets them to sniff some sniffs. It's important to sniff different sniffs than the sniffs that you already sniff, right?
I think he just wants attention.
You want attention and affection? You do. All right. So, anyways, all right. So we have Tom Holland playing.
Yeah, and I think like if we gave him a chance to be in a horror movie, like a serious horror movie, like I think he might have a chance to shine, because I do think he's a good actor. And Lawrence Fishburne's character.
Yeah, curious. What's your pick?
And we're circling back around again because we were going to talk about Nope. I think that lead actor in Nope, he's already got a really good track record being a protagonist in horror movies. It's like I think he would be a really good protagonist in this too. Which
I'm probably going to butcher his last name, but let's call it Daniel Kaluuya. It looks like Kaluuya. Kaluuya.
To anybody listening, we apologize if we butcher names.
Yeah, it's completely unintentional, and we will try better, always. But yeah, like I've told you before, you know how I've said to you before that there are certain actors that we see in recent films, and they just do such a damn good job at something that, in my words, I say that I see an Oscar on their horizon.
Yeah.
Not their event horizon, but their horizon. He's one that we're gonna see good things happen out of him. That's my hope.
Because he was in Get Out too, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Didn't Get Out win an award? Like
that
I don't know if
excellent
I don't
question.
know if he specifically won an award, but I think the movie did.
Let me find out. Let's see. Jordan Peele directed, wrote it, as we well know. And I'm just going down. Oscar winner for Best Original Screenplay. Let's see. Academy Awards. Yeah, Best Original Screenplay. It was nominated for Motion Picture of the Year. Nominated for Best Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role. So he was already nominated, Daniel was. Oscar nominee for Best Achievement in Directing, Jordan Peele. So definitely had its nominations. Get Out did. But it won for original screenplay. So good on Jordan Peele for doing that. That's really awesome.
And that's a movie I'd really like to give a chance from start to finish. We watched a part of it on TV while we were dying of COVID in Virginia on our vacation.
What, Get Out?
Yeah, remember that?
I thought we watched the whole thing.
No, we basically started in from like, it was like a good like maybe 20 minutes in, 30 minutes in when we started. Because like when we started watching it, like they were already at the house and he'd already met a lot of people.
Oh, okay.
And like he's talking to the guy, and then he takes a photo of him, and he takes a photo of the guy, and he's just like, "Get out now, get!" And like that's what we.
Oh man, that really irked me.
Yeah.
That part. A lot of the stuff about that movie irked me, but it was still so good.
Yeah.
And you remember how I feel like to this day, whenever there's a movie that I want to watch super badly, that movie is either not available to stream anywhere, or if I want to watch it, we have to pay.
And
we have to buy it or something.
And then the algorithm like puts the movie up like a week later. In fact, coming back to Encino Man, you and I, we watched it last night, paid 99 cents for it. I guarantee you,
it's going to be free.
It's going to be back up on like Disney Plus or something like that.
That's going to be the story of my life. And because I remember, like, even with the movie Get Out, especially me, I wanted to watch that for the longest time. I couldn't find it anywhere. And then finally, at least we found, we were able to watch like most of it down Virginia Beach and everything. But still, it's like whenever there's a movie that I really want to watch, I can't find it anymore.
Yep.
And then I turn around, and if I'm that desperate, I'll buy it. I'll buy the DVD. I'll find it on eBay or whatever. I'll buy it, and then give it anywhere from a couple of weeks to a month. It's available everywhere all of a sudden.
I remember.
Oh, that pisses me off. Didn't that happen with Apocalypse Now?
I was just about to bring that up. That was the first time it happened.
Never forget.
It's like you... I don't because you had never seen it before.
Nope.
We were together. It's like, we gotta watch Apocalypse Now, and we were looking for it, and it was on Netflix, but they took it down. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna buy the Blu-ray. And then we bought the Blu-ray, and then like a month later, it was back up, and it's like, you motherfuckers.
I hate that with a passion. Fuck you, algorithms. you guys are a little slow on the uptake, or else you're doing that on purpose so that we can buy it and then get screwed by having it available for free within like no time at all. That's stupid. You gotta improve on that. Do better, algorithms. Ugh.
But since we've circled around to that actor, to Jordan Peele, and again, Jordan Peele, hey, you're doing a great job.
Not actor.
No, but I mean, like, I'm talking about the director, Jordan Peele, too. You're doing a good job. Good movie so far. Mm-hmm. I think now would be a good chance to talk about Nope and spoilers, because we're not going to say right now, hey, do you remember that part with that thing? So we're talking. So if you don't want the movie spoiled, please just stop it and go and do something.
Go watch it and then come back to the podcast and listen to what we have to talk about.
And
don't stop. Just pause us.
Yep.
Pause. Go watch it. Let's see. How long is the movie Nope? The movie Nope is 2 hours and 10 minutes long. So we're going to be talking about Nope for just a little bit now. So if you haven't seen it and you're dying to, pause it, go back, watch it 2 hours and 10 minutes from now, come back, unpause, continue listening to us.
And it's on, if you have Peacock, it's free on Peacock. So
Peacock is really good. Pay $5 a month for Peacock. I'm giving them a free plug right now. Peacock is good.
Because they definitely have some good movies. I'm sorry, before we get to Nope, it is a good chance to see like newer movies that are coming out. I know you haven't seen it yet, but it gave me the chance to finally see The Northman, like fresh off of theaters.
Yeah, I'm still on the fence about watching it.
I don't think it's even up there anymore.
Really?
But I liked it. I know a lot of people were disappointed because they wanted like basically like a love letter to Conan the Barbarian, like a nonstop like violence fest, which would have been amazing. Mm-hmm. But you know what? After seeing that director's movies like The Lighthouse, The Witch, like I get his tone, like in his style.
Sure.
And it's definitely a movie by that director, and I liked it. I thought it was just cool. I wish they didn't get spoilers. I wish they didn't cut his hair like 30 minutes into the movie, because again, I understand he's like sneaking in and he's being a spy, but it's like you have that image on the cover. He's got the long hair, and it's like the Northman, and then next thing you know, he's pretending to be a slave, and it's like that's basically what he looks like the rest of the movie. So
yeah, I hate it when they fuck around with the image of someone.
But
like,
it's
if your hair is long, keep it long because we like it. If your hair is short, keep it short because we like it. Honestly, let's go back to Encino Man for a hot second.
okay.
All right.
Okay.
When it was time for the prom and they put Brendan Fraser's hair back in that little tiny ponytail,
Yeah.
I fucking hated it. It's like he should have just had his hair with that like funky like hairdo, that Pauly Shore-esque hairdo, even for the prom. That would have been good. But that tiny little ponytail, I hated it. Anywho.
Anyways,
but,
coming back to it.
Coming back to, well, we were talking about the Northman for a minute there, and we went. So now we need to go back to Nope.
Coming back to Nope.
Okay.
And again, spoiler warning. I thought it was great. Like
I loved it.
That like,
Absolutely,
and I know we've
loved
even
it.
been talking about watching it twice. For me, like a good sign of a horror movie or a good horror director, it's not what you do, but it's how you do it. Mm-hmm. The first thing that comes to mind for me for that movie is the for lack of a better words, the chimp scene. Mm-hmm. And I know they begin it with that, but that extensive flashback where is it Stephen, and I apologize for mispronouncing names, Stephen Young's character.
Glenn, let's just call him Glenn.
Call him Glenn. Glenn from The Walking Dead. Like when he's a child and he's on that TV show, the sitcom, and the chimp that's on the show completely loses it and like annihilates people. The girl that's on the show, he fucks up her face and it's horrible. And the chimp is there covered in blood. There's no music, and you get to see it through his eyes, basically. Like the father on the show is still alive and he's running, and the chimp just clubs him, and the chimp is just covered in blood, looking around at everything, and then the chimp just stops and just looks right at you. And I swear, I stopped breathing for a moment. It's like, holy fucking shit. Mm-hmm. And then it comes up and walks, and you're seeing through the character's eyes, but you could see the blood, you could see the look, and just that moment of fear. But the tablecloth that's hanging over where the character's hiding, it covers the chimp's face just enough that it doesn't give you a clear look of the chimp. You can see the blood and you can see the breathing, but he's still obscured. And it's like, I'm saying that's like, that's fucking great. Because it's like, I love a horror movie. And again, I mean, you can see the chimp, but I love it when subtle things like that are done where they don't really let you get a good look at things, because sometimes that could be way more powerful than giving you a clear look. Like, imagine if they completely reshot that scene differently. Like, you got to see it from all these different camera angles. There's intense music going on, you know, and you get to see the violence, you know, and, you know, you see the person dying in the blood and stuff like that. It would have had, like, it wouldn't have even had, like, half the impact that it does with that, you know, how they did it. But yeah, I love it when movies do that. Another perfect example of that is going way back, Silence of the Lambs, like when she's examining the body. And eventually they do give you a shot of the body, but they really don't let you get a good look at it at first. You see the look on her face while she's looking at it. And then it allows your own mind to like think of like, what is she looking at? And when a director is doing that, they're pulling you into the story, like you're invested in it now because you're using your own like thoughts and creativity to like fill in those gaps. Like if a character dies off screen and you can hear them. Another perfect example, Alien. When what's her name, Nancy?
We're never going to end up talking about Nope.
We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Was it Nancy? Who in Alien? Nancy Cartwright?
Is it? Let's find out.
The one she was in The Birds as a kid.
Yeah. She was also in Body Snatchers.
Yes. Like she dies off screen and you can hear her screaming, and it's like your own imagination has to fill in like what's happening to her, and like that's like a great like horror movie trick. But
is it Nancy Cartwright? Let's find out. Well, I'm not so sure. Hang on. No, you don't have to. You can continue talking, right, and I'll be Jamie. All right.
Okay. Can we look it up, Jamie? Can we look it
yes.
up? Yes.
Alien. Let's see.
Another thing that all right. So coming back to Nope. Another thing.
Veronica Cartwright.
Oh, Veronica Cartwright. Okay. Who's Nancy Cartwright?
Nancy Cartwright. Nancy Cartwright was the one that. She's the one that does the voices for Bart Simpson.
Oh shit.
I think we're a little off on that one. But
right.
You know what? Being from the Cartwrights, I wonder if she's part of the Cartwright family. Let me find that out.
That's a really good question. That's interesting.
Yeah, because wasn't Liam Neeson's wife a Cartwright?
Oh, that I don't know.
I'll find that out in a second too. But yeah, Nancy Cartwright is definitely known as she is Bart Simpson. She was offered the chance to do the female voices for South Park, but turned it down because she felt the show was too offensive. No comment. When she auditioned for The Simpsons in 1989, she was originally called in for the voice of Lisa Simpson, not Bart. She was then asked to read for Bart Simpson and got the role on the spot. I'm just trying to find anything regarding her last name. Tell us how you really feel, Winnie.
Yep.
She is the aunt of Sabrina Carpenter and Sarah Carpenter, who I do not know who they are, unfortunately. But I don't know. That could be maybe something I can look up. She's been a Scientologist since 1991. But when it comes to the last name Cartwright, it's not giving anything obvious about her being part of the Cartwright family. But talking about Liam Neeson's wife, I can't talk today. He's also from Northern Ireland, by the way. What is with all of these Irish people all of a sudden? Let's see. What was her wife's, his wife's name? Wow, I was really off on this one, but not too much. Natasha Richardson. Maybe she was a Cartwright. No, she was a Redgrave. The niece of actors Corin Redgrave and Lynn Redgrave. Wow. So I really got my names mixed up there. For some reason, I was thinking Cartwright. Now it's Redgrave. Yeah, I got myself really mixed up on that one. My bad. She's been gone for 14 years. Natasha Richardson. What a shame.
And I'm going to say this right now. Remind me to circle back to South Park because I have something to say on that.
And here's another little tidbit for you. We were talking about Event Horizon. Jolie Richardson was in Event Horizon. Jolie Richardson is Natasha Richardson's sister. So Jolie Richardson was Liam Neeson's sister-in-law.
Nice.
Little tidbit there, in case you didn't know. And I'm sure you're going to sleep better tonight knowing that.
Nice.
All right. You want to circle over to South Park before we eventually make our way down the main road of Nope?
No, because we're on Nope, and if we talk about it, that it's going to deviate too much because it's a social thing that
maybe
I want to talk about. But
maybe that'll be a podcast in itself.
could be. But coming back to Nope. I was going to say, another thing that I really enjoyed that it did is, like, false jump scares are, like, now basically, like, the biggest cliche, like, is the killer there, and then pops out, it turns out it's just the best friend. It did that, it did the false jump scare, and it was actually really good. They did a great job. The scene when he's in the barn, and it's dark, and then you see, like, the figures come out, we're sitting there like, oh my god, is that a person? And it's like, then another one comes out and it's like, is it? And then you see movement, and then he's like, nope. I'm like, holy fucking shit.
And
then they come around and then they pop out, and it turns out it's just a bunch of fucking kids wearing like alien masks. It's like, oh, it was a false jump scare, and it's like, oh my god, and it was good.
It was so good. It was so unnerving because I think like you and I are both watching it, and I could see the dark figure move before you did. And I'm like, oh, no. And I'm saying, nope. Just like Daniel's doing. No, that was just so good.
Yep.
Babe, that movie was so good. So here's what I'm stuck on when it comes to that movie. Obviously, when the whole entire movie in itself, I'm stuck on it. But I'm really stuck on, because I am a sucker for a lot of soundtracks, I'm stuck on songs from the soundtrack. So here's something cool. I downloaded it also because I gotta have soundtracks on my phone also to listen to. But just a couple of songs from that movie. There's this song called the Lost Generation. think it is. It's an old soul song from, I think, 71 or 72. And it's in that scene where she's just grooving along. She puts it. I love how they incorporate a record player in this movie. I feel like the whole entire movie, they incorporated elements of like the 70s and 80s into it. Like there's styles in the house that they really didn't change. Like they kept a lot of like decoration and stuff from 30, 40 years ago. They haven't really changed too much. And I like that. No. But that song is amazing. I highly suggest it. Download it, listen to it. But I thought it was interesting on the soundtrack, and I got it, is, you know, the original song that they played, I Wear My Sunglasses at Night, Corey Hart?
Yep.
They have on the soundtrack, you remember the part where it's playing in the van?
Yep.
And it's slowed down, so it's
Yep.
I wear my sunglasses. It's in a slow. They have that version on the soundtrack. They
Really?
don't have the original upbeat version.
Nice.
But you know what? I highly suggest that you listen to it. I downloaded it. It's, in a way, it's unnerving, but in another way, it's really good. The voice is really deep in it, but the way that the tempo goes with the song, it turns it into a completely different song.
Nice.
It's so cool. So in your spare time, listen to it. Listen to I Wear My Sunglasses at Night on the Nope soundtrack. It's really good. So that's my take on that. But the movie, I'm fascinated by the alien in itself. Though, remember how the primary reason why I wanted to watch the movie in the first place? Do you remember why?
It's because of the setting, right?
Yeah. So I am a sucker for any movie settings that are just aesthetically pleasing. If the whether it's a real film location, or whether it's a green screen, I don't care what the fuck they use. But no, in this case, they did film it to a degree on location. They did use, I believe, a ranch in California. It was supposed to take place on a ranch in California anyways. They filmed it in California, but to California's benefit, they do have some beautiful scenery out there, and I'd still love to see a whole shitload of it to this day. But the scenery is the main reason why I originally wanted to watch that movie, because that scenery is beautiful. The location of where the ranch is, where you have the sloping hills on the sides, I just wanted to see that. It was beautiful. And I'm really glad that we watched that movie at night, because the nighttime sequences, if you watch it in a darkened room, you can actually see what's going on.
Yep.
No, and I've noted that there's a lot of film out there nowadays that they've really darkened up the film so that it's best watched in a very dark room, so that you can actually see the movements in the bodies, what's going on. Well, this is definitely one of those cases where you need to do that. But I'll always remember that with Game of Thrones. Remember, by the time we got to the final season, we get to oh god, what was that, like the second or third episode into the final season of Game of Thrones? It was the nighttime battle.
The long night.
The long night. Whoa! I remember, remember how we were hanging out with our friends and we were watching like that whole season with them, and we had to go back and watch that one a couple of times, but it was so dark.
We didn't watch the whole season with our friends. We went over to our friend's party where we watched the premiere, and then we went over to other friends of ours' house to watch that episode with them.
Okay. I thought we watched some others though with them too.
We might have, but it was definitely those two, like the premiere and the long night we did. But yeah, and of course
but darkness in an episode though.
Yeah.
No, best watched in a dark room.
Yep.
Oh, it's so, I love, that's, and I've told you this before, I'm not really a fan of horror. I don't like horror films, because I don't like psychologically what they do to me, because I'm a sensitive soul, so if something sticks with me in a negative way, it can affect me in my regular day-to-day life, and I don't like that. No, I'm not trying to say that I like every movie to have a happy, flowery ending or anything like that. But if you're going to make a horror movie that I'm going to want to watch and that it's going to stick with me, but in a positive way, And it's hard for me to categorize Nope as a horror movie.
I would say that it is.
But it was like it was like horror light to me.
Here's what it is, and I think I know what you mean by that, and I'll say this. I enjoy horror movies, but I'm very picky, and you know what I think it is? I enjoy monster movies. And I don't even mean like classic, like, oh, Frankenstein and Dracula, but what I mean is like, I like a scary movie where there's a monster, or there's like a big reveal. So it's like you've got like, you know, like Freddy Krueger, I think counts as a monster. Chucky counts as a monster. So it's like you've got a really good like actor playing the villain, and it's either like an animatronic monster, it's makeup effects, and you know what, even now, even if it's really really good CG, it's like awesome. So, you know, like again, Tim Curry as Pennywise, he counts as a monster. So like I count, I mean, I know it is a horror movie, or like, you know, horror miniseries, but I count it as like a monster movie because there's a, you know, a monster in it.
Sure.
So like I think like in that context, like that's what I want from my movies, or have it be a really good like acting driven movie like Exorcist Part 3. And I'll say this, if you really like horror movies and you like The Exorcist and you skipped on the third movie because the second movie was so bad, go and see The Exorcist Part 3. It is fantastic. You've got George C. Scott, you've got Brad Dourif in it. Like, I love that movie. It's a flawed movie. There are definitely, like, studios stepped in, the ending is different stuff. I've got opinions on it. Honestly, we could do, like, a whole segment where I talk about how you fix that movie. Because, I mean, they did a director's cut anyways, but maybe we could even save that and talk about that later or something, because I don't want to detract too much from Nope. But,
what else do we want to say about Nope?
Here's what I want to say, because, again, it will help me circle back around to what I want to say about South Park. So, the first thing I want to say is that I like that the alien at the end, even though I do count it as a scary movie, the design, they weren't trying to make it scary. They just wanted to make something that nobody had ever really seen before.
True.
And it's like, and obviously I love how it started as like looking like a flying saucer, and then you find out that it has like a hole and it like sucks things up. But it like fans out, and it almost kind of like turns into this like there was that scene where he's on the horse and he's like reining it in, and like it expands. It almost turns into like this weird living floating flower, because that's kind of what it looked like. And especially like when it was up by like the floating balloon that it's about to eat, and she's trying to take the pictures of it, and then it's almost kind of like it fans out and it looks like a flower. So it's like, it's almost kind of strangely like it's horrifying and beautiful at the same time.
A horrible beauty.
And it's like
beautiful horror.
I really like that, because it's like I hate a movie where it's like, oh, we're just going for scares. It's like, it's okay to insert things like that in there, because honestly, like, if you give a little bit of extra things in there, like almost like a break from it, when the horror and the scares come back, it almost can make it even worse.
But you know what? You bring up a really good point, and here's another thing to Jordan Peele's benefit, is that when it came to creating this scary monster, if you will, this scary alien, by creating something that actually, once we'll call it, like it reminded us of a flower when it blossomed and opened up at the end of the movie. Why do things that can be scary, that can, you know, eat up humans and just decimate everything, why does everything have to be ugly? You know? He actually created something that when it opened up in its full form, it could be, in a sense, beautiful. So you can take beautiful things and make them scary. No? And I like that. So that was very imaginative on his part.
Like, a little bit of added things. It's like, just because it's a horror movie doesn't mean that you can't have like some sort of drama inserted, like a really good story and dialogue, which is another reason why I like The Exorcist Part 3. You know, you get to really see George C. Scott's friendship with the priest, played by Ed Flanders, in it, and like them joking around, but then he's in the hospital, and like, so. But again, we can definitely talk about Exorcist 3 another time, because I've got some opinions on it and everything. Maybe we can save it towards the end. But I'll say this also about Nope, and if we want to circle back around to South Park, we can, because like, obviously, like, at our age, I could definitely say that there's a lot of people our age that's like, oh, Hollywood has gone to shit, and there's no creativity anymore and stuff like that. And I definitely think that a movie like this shows that it's like we just got to give creative people a chance. And it's like, because it's like I watch a movie like this, it's like that was a good movie. And it's like, there are always going to be bad movies out there, and there's always going to be studios that just want to make money off of people in a quick cash grab.
Yeah, and enough with the remakes already. Remakes are nothing new. Remakes have been for decades and decades, but we've got to have some fresh storytelling out there.
And I think we're definitely going to get it, and I think there's still going to be good movies on the horizon, no matter what. But I'm going to use this to circle back around to South Park. Mm-hmm. There was the episode where it's based around Chat PPT. Do you know what that is? Mm-mm. And because I know that you didn't watch it with me because I think you were doing schoolwork, and I'm sorry. we could watch it together again if you want. But it deals with Chat PPT, and Stan is using it to say nice things to Wendy through text. It's like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. Basically what it is that like you can copy text in, and it's like, can you give me a response for this? And it's like auto-generating nice things to say for Wendy, and he copies and pastes it in. Okay. And then at the episode, he realizes that he's backed himself into a corner, and like people are like students are using it to cheat on their tests, or no, not tests, but like to write essays. Like, hey, I need to write an essay on this thing in history, and then ChatGPT auto-generated like a report for them, and then Mr. Garrison is using ChatGPT to auto-generate comments on paper, so it's like he graded it, and then it's auto-generating for it too. And then they get into a corner because there's the guy who's basically like going to catch the cheater, and then Stan asks ChatGPT to basically finish the episode for him. It's like, here's the situation I'm in, here's the corner, and based on like how the episode proceeds from there, the tone almost seems like Matt Stone and Trey Parker used ChatGPT themselves to write the rest of the episode for them. Ooh, and it's like, because you hear the tone, and it's like, okay, give us an episode with a moral of the story. It's like, oh, it's the companies that are using it to force it down. And it's like, and then like a couple of days after I watched that episode, it's like, hey, that's hilarious, and that's clever that they used ChatGPT to finish the episode. But then I saw somebody in my Facebook feed, they posted an article where they said that somebody, because there's so many people out there that are so butthurt over the ending of Game of Thrones. And I know it's not perfect. You know what?
Calm down, people. It's a story.
There are people that say like, "Oh my God, the final season of Game of Thrones completely destroyed the entire series." Here's what I have to say, because we all miss Game of Thrones, and I think that's a part of it that people just hated to see it end. Watch it from start to finish. Watch the entire story arc with everything. For me, when we did that, like saw it from start to finish, the only moment that I really felt like maybe they could have done this a little differently is when Jon Snow confronts Daenerys in the throne room and then she dies. Spoilers. For me, that's the only moment where I'm like, you know what, maybe they could have used one more episode for more wrap-up time. I mean, I understand why they didn't, because that really is like a climax. So my thing is like, hey, maybe they could have used one more episode for just the aftermath of all of that. Like, they could have ended the episode with Daenerys dying and then have a whole other episode for aftermath. But again, if your final episode is just aftermath, it's kind of a little anticlimactic. And again, so that's why it's like, you know what, there's no real right answer. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but coming back to it, somebody posted an article where somebody used ChatGPT to quote-unquote fix the ending. So they basically told it, it's like, okay, the final scene with Daenerys up until the rest of the episode fixed the ending of Game of Thrones. And ChatGPT wrote its own version of how the show would end.
And how did they write it?
And honestly, you know what? I didn't look at it too long, but the point that I'm getting to that is that what does that mean for us culturally, like as an artistic society, a society with art in it? Because we already live in a society where we have like AI art where you can auto-generate art, and there's even some AI out there that can write music. Like there was that AI, like somebody fed AI like a bunch of black metal, and the AI ended up writing a black metal song, and it actually wasn't that bad. It was actually kind of good. But now you have like AI that can write articles for you. Like people are saying like, hey, I'm using AI to write articles for my webzine or something like that. and now somebody is using, AI. I mean, they didn't officially do it, but they used AI, or actually technically Matt Stone and Trey Parker did, but using AI to write television. So it's like, does that mean that now we're going to be in a society where people, instead of hiring writers and hiring writers and script writers,
everybody's going to be laid off?
It's like, are we going to just start using AI to write our entertainment for us, or for our art for us? Like, are we going to end up? Are the next couple of Marvel movies going to be written by an AI? Or
can we take a break from Marvel movies, though? We love Marvel movies, but I'm a little marveled out.
Yep, it's
for the moment. For the moment,
the smartest thing that they did years ago was when Endgame came out. They took a break, and it's like, I think that was the smartest thing that they could have done. And I really did like their, how should we say, like epilogue shows, like WandaVision, Loki. Like, it was kind of showing like aftermath and stuff. But
I feel like those were almost like, if Endgame was like the main entree ultimately, and all of the movies before Endgame were all of like it was almost like we were served a bunch of like courses to a main entree. It's like a 15-course meal. I feel like WandaVision and Loki and like any others that came out afterwards, those were desserts. Those were after dinner mints and coffees.
I definitely think
it was good. It was tasty.
I definitely think a part of it is that sometimes like absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah,
and it's like, if there's always something coming out, it doesn't give you the chance to like feel that want for it. It's like, you know what? It's like, hey, it's been so long since we've had this movie. That would be great if they did another one. It's like, we're not really getting that chance to feel that way.
No, I want time to digest.
Yeah.
No,
and
I know I'm comparing this all to food, and I'm not exactly hungry right now. I'm still full from breakfast, but no, I'm comparing Marvel movies to meals.
Yeah, but yeah, coming back to it, like I think that that's on our horizon, where we're going to have more things written by AI for us just to churn out content.
Yeah.
But to look at the glass half full and to stay an optimist, I do think we're also, when those opportunities for like really talented people, like when those opportunities come, I do think we're still going to be getting some really good storytelling and television, books, movies. It's like, it's not going to go away. We're still going to get that chance for artistic people to get their stuff out there. Yeah, that's it on that. That was my gripe on South Park.
Do you have anything else to add?
Did we have anything else to say about Nope? Or
no? Nope. Quick pause.
Okay, pause.
I'm looking for where's the cursor?
I got it.
There we go.
Oh. All right, and we are back. And it just occurred to me, another thing that we could talk about in this podcast, since we're on TV and movies, is Willow was canceled this week.
Bummer.
Yeah.
I'm kind of bummed about that, because I really had some high hopes about that. A lot of people seem to be shitting on it, and we were enjoying it.
I liked it.
I mean, I know that you definitely had you gave me some interesting insights on like how they filmed things. Can you refresh my memory on that? So
we started watching the show, and it's like, you know what, I'm being entertained. It doesn't quite feel like Willow, like, it doesn't feel like it's a true sequel to the movie. Like, I was still liking it.
It's not like they filmed it back in 1985 all over again. No, we have fresh film.
Yeah, and there were a few things that's like, what is it about it that's not connecting with me? And a huge thing for me were the camera angles, because when you watch Willow, a lot of the shots in the movie are from Willow's perspective. Like, you get a shot of Eric on the horse, we're in the battle, little ones. It's like, it's from Willow's height looking up at him on the horse. Like General Kale riding into Steel, Alora Dannon, at Tira's Lean. It's from Willow's view, and he's looking up. Same thing when they go into the inn. Could you please spare some milk from this poor hungry baby? Get out of here, Peck! And like, it's from Willow was looking. Out of the way, Peck! Yep. Like, Willow is looking up with them. So the fact that we were able to see things from his view, it allowed, or at least for me, it allowed me to connect with him more. Especially since I saw the movie as a kid, and here I am, like this young little kid, and it's like, hey, I'm small and Willow's small, and being able to like venture out with him, and it's like it definitely has that whole stranger in a strange land, and it's like everybody around him, I mean, they're not humans, they're daikinis, they are giants, because you're getting it from Willow's view, and everybody's just so big and intimidating, and here he has just this, you know, Nelwyn trying to like do the right thing. And that definitely like helped connect with the world, because like, I mean, they literally filmed like in the same location, but it didn't feel like the same world because we weren't getting shots from Willow's view, because Willow's not the central character anymore. And since you now have this larger cast, most of your shots are actually these wider shots so that you can see everybody more. And that, for me, kind of took away from it. Now, like, the people in the show, they're not daikinis anymore. Now they're just people. And Willow's just an additional character on the show. Yeah. It definitely gets corny at times, but I will say this, it's almost like it's almost more like at times it feels like it's fans for Xena, Warrior Princess, and Hercules: The Legendary Journeys, because let's face it, those shows were corny, but they were fun. So it's like if you enjoyed Xena and Hercules, I think you would like the show.
Yeah, I never got into watching Xena. I don't know, I kind of missed the boat on that one. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
No, I feel like I have seen enough little clips here and there, and definitely more than enough memes in order to get the gist of what Xena was all about. But yeah, when was that out? That was really hot back in what was that 90s material?
Yep.
90s, early 2000s. Yep. I'm trying to remember what I was really even into at that time. I was probably stuck on watching Friends. No, Friends for me was early 2000s. Early 2000s was Friends and that 70s show. I was stuck on those. I don't even remember what I was watching in the 90s. That was too long ago.
Me, I was definitely into like a lot of animated shows. Again, like I loved the Batman animated series, the Superman one. It was almost like they were written for adults. I mean, it wasn't like adult subjects or anything, but just like the tone of it was like, I mean, they still hold up. Yeah. They were great.
I feel like whenever I try to remember what I have watched or what I enjoy watching, whether it's television or movies throughout the years, I feel like I go back to a lot of nostalgia more than anything. I'll go back to I'll want to watch something that I watched when I was a child in order to relive it all over again. Like, here's a television show for you that I really enjoyed as a young child when it first came out, and I proudly own the DVD series now. V.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So good. And I mean, when that first came out, I was probably 4 or 5 years old, but they had the miniseries. The miniseries is amazing. You got Mark Singer, who's the main guy, Donovan. You have Michael Ironside playing him, Tyler. You know, it's just such a good miniseries, a good story. Again, another movie involving aliens. You know, these big giant ships that are coming on down and everything. And fast forward to, say, the movie Independence Day. Now I'm kind of thinking of, like, you know, huge big round ships coming in down out of the sky, and you don't know if the shit's going to hit the fan or not until it does. In their own ways. But you have the miniseries V, and then it morphed over into a briefly run television series, and that only lasted for 2-3 seasons, but I have all of that too. And it's just such a really good story, all of it, if you've never checked it out. Oh, and that reminds me, I think it was my mini-series that we had, what's his name?
Robert Englund. Yeah, he signed it.
Yep. So we met Robert Englund at one of those almost like a Comic-Con type of fest, and we met him, and I had him autograph my DVD set. I was so thrilled about that. And I was geeking out about him being Willie on that more than, I mean, everybody else that meets him gets all excited because he was Freddy Krueger. Well, you know what? Here's my true confession. I really haven't dedicated much of my life on anything involving Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th. No, that's my true confession for this week. Just minimal to no interest in them. But going back to Robert Englund, he autographed that, and then when we were getting ready to walk away, he came over to us with a photograph of him from being like a movie still of him being the character Willie in V, and he gave that to us, and he says, "I'm just," because that was something that his character said, and that just made my day. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, super nice guy, definitely.
But do you have a true confession?
True confession. Maybe it's not really a true confession. I mean, maybe I could circle around to it, but one thing that I loved about going to that Comic-Con, meeting people, is Kane Hodder was there too. And Kane Hodder comes up, or you know what it was? We were talking to Robert Pattinson, the T-1000, like we were getting...
No, it wasn't Robert Pattinson.
No,
that was Edward Cullen.
Sorry. Whoops.
We didn't meet the guy from Twilight.
I'm shit on names today. Robert Patrick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. T-1000. We were getting his autograph, talking to him, and then he looks at me and he's like, "Hey, somebody's behind you." And I feel like a hand on my shoulder tapping, and I turn around, it was Kane Hodder, and he says to me, "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were Al Snow." And like basically he thought I was a wrestler, and to me that was a huge compliment. It's like, holy shit. Jason, who is a big and scary dude, thought that I was a big and scary dude. It's like, that's a huge compliment.
Well, you can be.
Yeah. I mean, I know I'm taller than Kane Hodder, but but and let's face it, like growing up as a kid, like, and I know I mentioned this like in the first episode, like playing with people, I always wanted to be the bad guy, and like I always, like, in the back of my mind, always wanted to, like, try acting. Like, I would have loved to have had a chance to play, like, a monster in a movie or something like that. Or, like... be the masked villain, and, like, how Michael Myers tilts his head. And
do you want to learn how to use a chainsaw and wear a mask of human flesh?
Maybe. Yeah. But, yeah, no. I know that you never had... Like you said, you never had any interest in Nightmare on Elm Street, but
no.
I loved it for the comedy aspect too. It's like he's always got his one-liners, like Freddy's Dead. Honestly, like I think my favorite one out of all of them is Freddy's Dead, just because it's such a weird movie. Like even the people writing the movie said that they were watching a lot of Twin Peaks at the time, so like a lot of the people in the townsfolk are just a bunch of weirdos, and But again, like one-liners, like Freddy makes Carlos's head explode, and he catches his earpiece because he had the earpiece on, and it was like so loud that made his head explode, and he's like, "Nice hearing from you, Carlos." So,
I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel like in my life, at some point or another, when it comes to Friday the 13th, in Friday the 13th, was it the first one that you really don't see much of anything happen? It's more of like a leading up to the rest of the movies and what happens.
Well,
or was it the second one? Because is Friday the 13th one that like happens? I was at Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I feel like at some point in my life, like when I was a kid, that maybe it was on TV, and that me and my older sister, we happened to watch it. It was either the first one or the second one, and it just seemed like ho hum, but also it was on TV, so they took out
probably cut out a lot of stuff.
They cut out a lot of stuff and everything, but I don't remember it. And aside from that, Friday the 13th, that's Jason, right?
Yep.
Was it Jason X, the one that took place out in space?
Yeah.
All right. So I feel like I watched, and this was again probably a good 14 years ago, or because I don't think you and I were together, and it was way back when I lived in Putnam, and I actually had good old DirecTV at that time, and it was on, and I think I watched like the last 30 minutes, and I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, oh my God, when is this guy going to die? It's like every time he so-called died, like they could, burn him into a cinder and he was down, and the music on is all dramatic and everything. Oh, he gets back up again, dramatic music. All right, let's freeze him now. And I'm just giving an example. I don't remember what the hell they did. They could have hacked him apart in pieces and he was still getting up. And I'm like, just die already. No, I've had enough of this. This is, I can't get into that kind. It's just so laughable to me at that point. I can't get into that kind of horror. It's just so dumb.
It's it's cheesy, but again, that's part of its charm.
I feel stupid watching it.
It's like, it's like a popcorn date flick. It's like, hey, let's go see a scary movie, and you see a bunch of douchebag teenagers, and they die horribly.
Yeah, that's not my form of entertainment.
Yeah.
And then similar strain with Nightmare on Elm Street. I feel like at some point in my life I may have watched Dream Warriors.
Dream Warriors is a really good movie.
Yeah. And I mean, we got Dawkins singing the main theme and everything. So of course, So I feel like I definitely have at some point in my life watched at least that one. Maybe you and I watched that one together or a different one together, but
it's possible.
I don't live and die by them.
Yeah.
So it's just not for me. That's all. No big deal. No, I'm picky about my comedy also. So, and then circling back to when I was talking about nostalgia, and I mentioned V as being like one of the ones for nostalgia for me. It's another one, Little House on the Prairie.
That's right.
Now we're definitely deviating off of horror, but I'll just quickly touch base and say I'm gonna skip ahead for next week's True Confessions, and I'm just gonna give this one also. I am such a diehard fan for Little House on the Prairie, both the books, the Laura Ingalls Wilder books, and the television series. I am such a diehard lover of all of that. It's ridiculous. Like, one of my little personal bucket list items is I would absolutely love to go out to Iowa, for example, and see, I think it's Iowa where one of their original Ingalls homesteads is. And then I think when Laura Ingalls and her husband Almanzo, when they moved, I think, to Missouri, I think down in Missouri there's another one of their homesteads down there that I believe is still up and running, or at least they have like a little museum or something that's there. I would love to see those things. It's my rite of passage, but I don't want to skip away too much from what we were talking about before. That's just my little side blurb. So coming back to horror stuff.
Right. But you know what? It doesn't have to be horror stuff too, because again, we're just talking about movies and stuff. Yeah. But I guess if it comes to a true confession, to talk about nostalgia and classics, the classic Superman movies, Christopher Reeves, Margot Kidder, Gene Hackman. Way back when I was young, we're talking like 4 or 5 years old, I used to watch Superman 2. I would grab a clothespin and a towel, put the towel around my neck so I had a cape, and I would lie down on the floor with my hands out while watching Superman 2, and when Superman would fly through the air and the theme was on, I would put my hands out and I would pretend that I was flying.
Listeners listening to this right now, don't be fooled. I catch him doing that sometimes.
And I will say this, the version that I grew up with for Superman is not the version that you can find anymore. It was like either an HBO cut or a TV cut, and there's just so much extra scenes in it that aren't in any version of the movie that you can get on DVD, because I know they released the Richard Donner cut that has like the completely different ending and completely different scenes, because Richard Donner got fired from it.
Oh.
Yeah. So
who ended up directing it then after him?
Oh, I don't remember his name, but I remember they had to refilm a bunch of scenes just so that way they didn't have to give him credit. Because again, in the sequel, Marlon Brando is actually in the sequel, but they cut him out of the movie because he wouldn't finish his scenes. So they brought the mother back to do those scenes. So like the scene when you see the mother coming out of the crystal and she's saying like, "My son, is this in fact what you want?" That was all
supposed to be
like
Marlon
Brando, and most of those scenes were shot. And if you see the Donner version, which we do own, it's all Marlon Brando in those scenes. But the version I grew up with, this is not the version that I'm talking about. In this version, there's a lot more extra stuff, like the kid in the town, "Please, Mr. General, please, Mr. General, please put my daddy down." Like the little kid in the town, and Zod's raising his dad up there. They completely cut it out of it, but the version that I grew up with, Zod and the team, they kill that kid. Like,
ooh,
it's so
that's
like
pretty dark.
Yeah, and it's profound. Like even the music, like the kid is like, "I'm going to jump on this horse." Like, "Come on, let's run!" And he gets up on the horse and he starts running away. And Zod turns around, "No one may leave without my permission." And he looks, and it's got the creepy Zod music in the background. He's like, I said no one leaves. And he looks at Non, and Non's like, you know how he makes this, and he goes to the top of the siren on the police car. He picks it up, and he's like winding it up like in his hand, like heating it up like a baseball, and then he throws it, and you see in the distance, and you just see in the distance, and you see the smoke and the explosion. And the woman, he was only a boy, and Ursa's like, he will never become a man, and there's so many other extra scenes like that in the movie. Like there's the bathroom joke between Gene Hackman and Miss Tessbucker, because she's looking for a bathroom in the Fortress of Solitude.
You have to say her name properly when he calls her.
But they cut that out too, and he's like,
how does he call for her?
But I'm going to get to that because I'm going to. They cut it out of the version I grew up with. They cut it out in future things where she's looking for a bathroom, and he's in there and he's saying like, we got Superman now, Miss Tessbucker, Miss Tessbucker, and you could hear in the background, and she's like, I found it, I think. It's like, she found it. Talking about the bathroom, but it's like you can't, every version that I've ever seen since, like on TV or on DVDs, it's like there's so many stuff that's been cut out. I think they even imply a scene in the version I grew up with. They imply a scene in the White House where Non kills dogs. Like as a kid,
well, they can leave that part cut out.
Like as a kid, I didn't get it because you don't see it. But there's a scene in the White House where the guard dogs in the White House are barking at Non, and he just turns, looks at them, and he just goes, and then you hear, and like either it was just like as a kid, I just took it as he really scared those dogs with his growl. Which, if you want to believe that, you can.
Yeah, I'd rather.
But so it's like there's just so like so I'm putting it out there, Hollywood. I can't even remember who released the movie, but it's like put that on a disc somewhere or put it on streaming because I miss that version of the movie. It's on a VHS tape somewhere. Maybe we can pull it up, but sometime in the future. But like that's the movie that I grew up with. So everybody out there that's still mourning the original Star Wars trilogy and they want the original unedited trilogy on Blu-ray. I want that version of Superman 2 on Blu-ray. There you go.
I want a Superman 2. I want a Superman 2.
So yeah, that's my little ramble on that. My true confession, going way back, living in Dartmouth, Massachusetts, and that was a really nice, area. Like, I mean, they completely rebuilt all of it now. But like back when we lived there, like past our backyard, it was just like all farmland. It was just like as far as you could see, it was just like field. And so adding to that true confession, there was one day I remember, again, I was like 4 or 5 years old. I was out there playing, and there was just randomly a cow in our backyard. Like, and again, we had a stone wall, so the cow wasn't able to enter in our backyard. But like, the cow like was sticking its head out past the stone wall, and it was just there like looking at me. And here I am as a kid, like, holy fucking shit, it's a cow. I mean, I didn't say holy fucking shit because I didn't even know those words back then. But I was like, wow, it's a cow. And like, I went up to the cow, and I'm like, maybe I could touch it. And I went over and I touched his nose. It had a
nose ring.
It had a nose ring. Went over and I touched the nose ring, and it just went. It shook its head. It just went, and I'm like, ah! And I ran back inside. But yeah, no, that like if there was ever a place for me to like move back to, it's like, hey, and again, it's not even going to be the same, but it's like I would love to live in a place like that was like that.
It's so bittersweet. That's one of those things that, like, people have mentioned that before, and I think there's even like a phrase or a word for it where you wish you could harken back, or you wish you could go back to a certain like point or time in your life and at least relive it or experience it all over again, but deep down that even if you could, it wouldn't be the same. Yeah, there's a term for that, and I've seen that before.
But it's definitely that saying, you can't go home again.
No,
because again,
but
like,
at least how it is in your mind, you'll always remember it that way.
Yeah, but again, like, you look at it, like, I remember one time looking at like Google Earth, and I mean, like, that they built houses all behind that, and
nothing stays the same.
Yeah, and of course, like, me being a kid, like, I remember that house being huge, but the reason why it was huge to me is because, again, I was 4 years old, so everything is huge when you're 4. And I'm sure if I went into that house now, it would probably be tiny, but again, like, at that time, I might as well have been living in a castle, just because it was just, everything was so, like, like looking up, and again, because my height, like I can't remember the last time like I had to look up when I was inside. Because again, everybody's shorter than me, so I'm looking down on people.
You don't say.
Yeah, but yeah, those were good times. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Nostalgia.
Yeah.
I'm kind of stuck on that now.
Yeah, you know, there are some cases sometimes it's like you do get a little bit of that back. Like a place that I know, because again, I'm a huge Chinese food junkie. Like every once in a while, we'll go back to Kahula in Sturbridge. Because again, like their menu hasn't changed at all. That was the first place that I ever ate Chinese food at ever, and it's like it tastes exactly the same. So it's like, you know, little things like that.
Yeah. Well, you're just reminding me because I saw in my Facebook feed from my Facebook memories how it was like a year ago today that the Wintiki had burned down.
Yeah.
The Wintiki up in Webster, Mass.
Yeah.
And that was a sad day. No, because like I told you before, how when it came to experiencing Chinese food, Wintiki was my first true, real experience at having like that was my first crab rangoon experience. No, I had gone there, and there was a group of us friends, family friends, that had gone there, and somebody of the friends had gotten an order of crab rangoons, and they said, "Try this. This is the best thing you've ever had." And at that point, when I was a kid, I didn't like the idea of crab meat at all. It just sounded absolutely repulsive to me. And now I can't get enough. I love crab meat. I prefer crab meat over lobster, actually. You put lobster in front of me, I'll eat it. You put crab in front of me, I will, that's wonderful. With melted butter, of course.
Yes.
But anyways, crab rangoon, that was my first experience there. But I'm just still so sad about that place being gone. Now you drive by it now, and it's just all like it was never there. And it was there for what, like 40 years.
Yeah.
Gone in an instant. No? So sad. It'd be great if they brought it back. But I don't see that happening.
No, I mean it's a parking lot now. It's just all paved over.
End of an era.
Yeah.
No, but no, I'm just glad that I don't believe anybody had gotten hurt, in any of that had happened. I believe during the night or something. So no.
I believe it was arson too, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I think it was the same person that had been going around and committing arson on a few other businesses, and they got them. So.
Yeah, because wasn't it also arson it was that Mexican restaurant that we would go to? Was it the same person that did that?
No, because that was also a different time. Del Rio, that happened like probably a good few years before when Tiki happened. I think Del Rio burned down somewhere within the past 5-ish years.
Maybe.
No, I don't remember the date for sure.
Yeah, me neither.
No, sometimes time just takes on a different way.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that happened only like a few weeks ago. No, actually, it happened 2 years ago. I hate it when that happens.
Yeah.
And that's also another scary thing too, is, you pull up your Facebook memories and you can kind of in the back of your head remember when you posted saying that certain something or posting that certain meme, and then when you look and see when you posted it, holy shit, you posted it 7 years ago. Well, it may as well have been 70 years ago. What happened? So it's time definitely takes on a different way.
Yeah. In fact, speaking of bummers, and still staying on the subject of like movies, TV stuff, because again, it's kind of been the theme of this episode.
Yeah.
Lance Reddick passed away. That's a huge bummer. He's a cool actor, or was a cool actor.
I feel like I've seen him in something else aside from the John Wick movies. What else has he been in?
He was on Fringe.
That's why I know him.
Yep.
Oh, that was such a good show.
He pops up in everything. He was on Fringe. He was on Oz for a while.
Well, you said before, everybody's been on Oz.
Everybody.
I say everybody's been on Law and Order. You say everybody's been on Oz.
Or everybody's been on both.
And we're both right.
Yeah. It's like, because again, like Law and Order, you got Chris Maloney. Chris Maloney was on both,
Or is it Chris Baloney?
Chris Baloney.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Chris Maloney, if you're listening, it's Chris Baloney.
Yeah. And
forever and always.
And you're a good actor. Definitely.
You're awesome.
You know, in
we
fact,
love you.
On that subject, I got to bring this up because going back to when I worked in education, obviously when you work in education, you end up running into Sesame Street, if you will.
Yes.
And in fact, you know what? I can end up using this to tie into like my true confession for this episode, but I'll get to that. I like watching Sesame Street in school with students. I loved it because you would end up seeing these like serious like HBO R-rated actors like popping up on Sesame Street. Like you've got James Gandolfini talking to one of the puppets about like how he deals with being afraid. Like I'm afraid of getting haircuts, and it's like you see him he's afraid of getting a haircut, but then somebody gives me a lollipop, it makes me feel better. And he's getting a lollipop, and it's like all I could think about is that time when he put the guy's like mouth on the curb in the final season and stomps his teeth out.
Oh,
you know, and it's just like. It's like, so you're getting these like violent actors, and there was another episode where it had Chris Maloney on it, and I think he was trying to play like his Law and Order characters, like, and we're going to talk about, you know, safety, you know, on the sidewalk because it's the law, something like that. And all I could think of myself as I see him, and it's like, I remember that. Hey, remember that episode in Oz when you were in isolation, you were completely naked, and they filmed you pissing into a bucket, like not even like on the angle, like legit, like. Chris Maloney holding his penis out and he's legit peeing into a bucket on film for the episode, like not faked at all, like completely naked peeing into a bucket. And it's like, I'm just seeing him talk. It's like, and remember kids, you gotta be safe. It's like, I saw you pee into a bucket once.
He was safely peeing into a bucket, though, wasn't he? He wasn't peeing on the floor, he was at least peeing into a bucket. So that was being responsible.
Yeah.
No?
All right. But I'm gonna use this to segue into my true confession for this episode, because the short answer of it is when I was young I once sang with James Taylor.
Cool.
So, and here's how that happened. So dad, as you know well, he's worked in education almost all of his life. Before he became a principal, he worked as a teacher and was working in schools. And I don't remember what election was happening at the time, but I must have been like, again, going back to like being 4, 5, 6 years old.
Oh, it was Obama.
But anyways, there was a campaign going on, and I think James Taylor was in support of that campaign. And there was voting going on at the school that Dad was working at the time. Okay. And in support of that campaign, James Taylor was there, and he actually, by himself with an acoustic guitar, he performed in the gym of that school. And if you know James Taylor's stuff, you will know that he did the song Jellyman Kelly, and he had a bunch of, kids singing behind him, and there's an episode of Sesame Street where he does it, and it's got that chorus, like, oh, candy come home, baby, candy come home, jelly candy come. Mm-hmm. And he had all the kids singing with him, and his encore in the gym was, hey, I'm inviting all the kids to come down here and sing with me, and he rehearsed it with us real quick, and at first I'm like, no, I don't want to do it, and Mom and Dad are like, it's like, you better do this right now or you'll regret it. Mm-hmm. So I ended up doing it, and I yelled it, and then it's over, and I'm like, a kid's like, hey, Mom, Dad, I did it. But it's like, I didn't even know who he was. Like, I just thought he was a really nice guy with a guitar that sang really well. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, we did that, and then maybe a couple weeks or like a month, give or take, like that Sesame Street episode came on, and I'm like, hey, that's the nice guy from the gym that I sang with.
Oh,
and it was
my
just
God.
Like, and so... And it's like, looking back on it too, it's like, I know Dad has an autographed vinyl by him,
really?
Like with a little message directly to Dad. Because it's like, of course they talk together. Of course Dad's going to go up to him and say, hey, you're James Taylor, you're awesome.
That's cool.
But yeah, no, I did that. And it was that era of James Taylor where, he had his hair a little bit long, like his hair's thinning on top, but it was a little long in the back, like like Hulk Hogan. Mm-hmm. and he had the mustache.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was that era, can't even talk, that era James Taylor that when I was a little kid.
Would you say you were what, in like kindergarten first?
Like, I was like super young. Like,
all right. So
yeah, like, like for all I know, like I maybe like just stepped away from like sippy cups, and I was like, oh my god, I'm growing up. I don't need those sippy cup top anymore. It's like, don't spill it.
I've got a funny one for you.
Yeah.
Whenever there's so many times that if I try to imagine what you looked like as a little kid, and your mom has shown me pictures of you, what you looked like as a little kid, despite all that, there's so many times that when I try to imagine you as a little kid, like an experience like this with James Taylor, that I still just imagine you with having long hair, just a very short little version of you, but you still have long hair and a ponytail.
Yeah.
Is that look ever going to go away, Peter?
Who knows? All I know is there was a brief time in my life I looked, back when I was in junior high, I actually like shaved my head all the way down, and in junior high I looked exactly like Bobby Hill from King of the Hill. Like, no lie, I'll show you a photo and he'd be like, oh my god, you look like Bobby Hill. There was a large portion of my life as a young adult where I tried to look like Peter Steele. You know, again, because again, typo negative, I fucking love typo negative. But it's like, hey, you know what? That's a guy with long black hair and he works out. So it's like, you know, hey, I'm going to try and lift weights too. You know, didn't always get to that level, but...
Plus we had Nathan Explosion.
Yeah, and now I've grown out my black hair and got a little goatee, and now everybody tells me I look like Penn Jillette. and that's fine. I think Penn and Teller is awesome, but it's funny. Like, I remember back when I was a job coach, and one of the job sites I brought students to, there was a guy on a bakery site. I'm not going to name the place, but they had a bakery there at that specific job site, and the guy there is just an older guy, you know, he's got a white mustache, and he comes up and he's like, hey, did anybody ever tell you look like Penn and Teller? And it's like, yes.
Yep.
Yep. And in fact, we met Penn Jillette too.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that was a great set.
Yeah, I love that. I just went up to him like, dude, you're amazing. He's like, thanks, boss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still got the picture somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere deep in the bowels of the Book of Face.
Yeah.
There's a couple of pictures floating around of you and me with Penn Jillette. And that was great. And that was also when he had his long hair, because now he's
cut it back.
Yeah, he's cut it back. I mean, he looks good.
Yeah,
he looks good.
He's lost a ton of weight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he lost weight, and well, I think he was encountering some health issues too, so that might have gone in conjunction with it too. But either here nor there, he looks good.
Yeah, he's got a lot of cool stuff to say.
Yeah.
Sorry to derail too much, but like, he is a libertarian. Like, not to get too political, like, and again, I'm not affiliated with anything, but it's like, if I were to lean in a direction, and not even to say that I am a libertarian, but like, he talks about it in such a way that it's like, it definitely might be a good way to think when he talks about, like, he talks about that whole analogy of like, that a government is a gun, basically. Like, what a government is force. And he basically says, like, you know, should you use a gun to stop a murder? It's like, absolutely. Should you use a gun to stop a rape? 100%. Should you use a gun to build a library? And what he means by that is, like, basically we, you know, live in a society where there are taxes, and taxes are used to build institutions. And it's like, you know, obviously I'm a librarian, I work in a library, and libraries are good for society. But he's trying to make that point that it's like, how much of a say do we have for the libraries to be there? You know, are the libraries there because we said that they should be there, or is it because they said that they should be there? Mm-hmm. And basically what he's saying is that, like, it's built on taxes, and if you don't build your taxes, men with guns are going to come knocking on your door. You know, basically, you know, police, because let's face it, you don't pay your taxes, you're going to go to fucking jail. Mm. Wesley Snipes. But that's my little tangent on that. Mm-hmm. But do you have anything to add on that?
Politically, no.
No.
I have nothing to add when it comes to politics.
Yeah.
I don't feel like airing my opinions.
Yeah.
Right about now, if ever. I don't know.
And again, like, not that I affiliate really in that way, but it's like, I think when it comes to stuff like that, I like seeing people, like, talk, like they're generating ideas and they're putting, like, thoughts out there that's like, could it be done this way or could it be done that way? And I think that ultimately, when it comes to people and for the sake of people in society and stuff like that. I think that's the way that stuff really just needs to get done.
Well, when you say, about like people just like sitting down and talking about it, no, I could definitely, I guess I could to some degree do that, to at least like talk about, what would be nice, what could be nice. But my very, very, very cynical side when it comes to politics says, you know what, it doesn't matter how much we talk about what we could do in the world or what should be done. As long as we have who we have out there governing, things will never change. We're doomed.
Yeah.
But again, that's my cynical side. No, there is also a positive side to me that says, you know what, maybe someday things will turn around and things will get better. But no, right about now, I just think that we stand for a lot of room for improvement on a lot of topics, a lot of things out there, a lot of bullshit going on in the world.
And a lot of things are generational too. So it's like there's a lot of stuff that's like when we think about it, like it may not even happen in our lifetime too. Sometimes it just has to do with the world that you grew up in at the time.
Yeah.
Because it's like when we think about how things are run, it's like, well, a lot of things are run by an older generation that viewed the world differently, and the world that they grew up in is not the world that we grew up in, and the world that we grew up in is not the world that children are currently growing up in. And yeah.
Well, I got a weird one for you. It was sometime this past week, and I've had this thought before, but it came back to me again this past week. I'm outside, and I just look off down the riverbanks, and I'm looking off towards like the trees and stuff, and I think to myself, I wonder what this area would look like 1,000 years from now. And so, in connection with that question I just asked, what is this world going to be like 1,000 years from now? Who knows? No, we have no idea. Will humanity even be here 1,000 years from now? And if so, what kind of world will it be like? Will people, how much, now I'm not just talking about styles, I'm not just talking about population, what kind of government will be out there in the world? How many more wars? How many, will we have had any more world wars? What's the likelihood of that happening? What kind of big changes will happen? And also just like demographically, when you look out your backyard, how much, will these trees still be here? Or, will this house still be here? I highly doubt it, but
it's
just but just to kind of continue on with it. What is the world going to look like 1,000 years from now? And these are some of the weird thoughts that I think when I just stand looking out my backyard.
And it's funny that you asked that question, and I legit just did a 3-day training about this last week for my job. Because remember how I was home for those 3 days and I was attending that training? That's what it was basically about. I mean, it was done in the context of like libraries, but I mean, it talked about it a lot in general too, because it's like, the training was called it was provided by Future Schools, and it had to do with what's called strategic foresight, which is basically like analyzing patterns and like technology, and they gave us all these different articles and like subjects stuff that is going to be real. Like they talked about this, and it's not there yet, but it is a legit possibility, where they basically said that they are looking at technology and like medicines and stuff out there now where it is possible that the time will come in our lifetime where death could be treated as an illness that could be cured.
Ooh.
And basically, like, it is possible, like, it's on the table that they're figuring it out, that we may very well see a time where a person could live to 200 years old.
Oh my.
And I don't mean like frail, barely can move, no cognitive abilities, like just like worn down to nothing, like regenerative, like healthy, able to move around, like being able to like restore organs, restore brain function, and like allow a person to decide for themselves when they want to check out. It's like giving the person that choice, hey, like, I've led a good life, I feel like now is the time. But then, of course, analyzing the implications of that, it's like, if people can live to 200 years, what is that going to mean for having children? And it's like, are we going? If that technology is there, would a society end up having something similar to like what China did, where it's like you're only allowed to have one child at a time?
Population control.
Or like, not necessarily forced sterilization, but like maybe the incentive for it. Like you could get a tax break on your taxes if you voluntarily sterilize yourself, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But just, yeah, there was a lot of stuff like that in the training, and like coming down to it, it basically gave 3 scenarios. Like one was, and you know what, I would need it in front of me too, but one of them was called like, it was like the fortress scenario, and a fortress scenario is basically like, the world has gone to shit. Like, technology has like legit turned itself against us. Like, it's basically a dystopia, basically. And then the other one was, I want to say like, it was like called like a market scenario or an economic scenario, which is like a balance between like, a utopia and a dystopia. It's like you're keeping like a sort of like a status quo.
Okay.
And then there's like the transformative scenario, where it's like the technology has like, where technology is like basically like completely transformed our society, like Star Trek. Like, people don't have to worry about food anymore. There are so many like social things in place that like if shit's fucking with you, like something happened and it's like a total thing, like there are supports there that are going to help you. And again, like health care for everybody, like, and finding the way to be able to do that. And like, like things maybe aren't based on money anymore, but they're based on like the incentive for the greater good, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So like, when it comes to all that, like the big thing is, it's like, where are we going to be 1,000 years from now? It all depends on how we use, or it all depends on like what technology develops, how it's used, and how well experts like anticipate like the different possibilities. Like, and I can't even remember all the terms, but like, like was it like volatile? So yeah, I can't remember, but it's like. Mm-hmm. It all has to do with foresight and technology and how we deal with it and all that stuff like that. I mean, and again, it was a 3-day training. There's no way I'm going to be able to talk about it.
No, I understand that.
But yeah, it was good.
And I mean, like, when I have that kind of random thought, I think about it like in a realistic sense. I really try hard to think about, you have those movies out there that you see where somebody, get maybe like time travel or anything like that, where they, fast forward into 500 years, 500 years or whatever into the future, millions of years, whatever. Wherever they go to, suddenly you're surrounded by sky-high skyscrapers and flying cars. And that's not what I'm visualizing when I ask myself just the simple question of what will this planet look like in 1,000 years. I'm trying to think rationally about it. What are we going to see? How drastically will, automobiles change between now and 1,000 years from now? Are we truly going to find like a better way of using vehicles when it comes to fuel consumption? Or like an alternative fuel? Is our electric cars, is that truly like the wave of the future? And not just talking about vehicles, talking about like people. Are there going to be things about us that evolve? When it comes to clothing style, when it comes to music style, are there going to be different like musical instruments that will be invented that we've never had before? Are there going to be certain singing styles that come about? Will there be new languages, or are we going to have more of not like a universal language, but are we going to have more languages, or is it possible that we would have less languages? How big will the world population be 1,000 years from now? Are we still going to have a huge problem with pollution and with garbage? No. Or will we have figured that out? Will we have figured out a better way? No. 1,000 years from now, will we finally have gone to planet Mars? And is it really worth it? No. It's like from everything that I hear about Mars, it seems like it's the temperature is not something that climate-wise we're accustomed to over here. They have a completely different temperature, completely different atmosphere, you can't go over there and breathe. Now, so what is the? It's like I want to ask Elon Musk, what is the goddamn point of going to Mars? Just so that you can say you've done it? What's the point?
For somebody like, and it's funny that you brought it up, Elon Musk, because here's another thing too. I deleted my Twitter this week, and again, I'm not going to be, oh, Elon Musk is a genius, he's a hero, and I'm not like, oh, fuck Elon Musk, he's a big like, he's a billionaire weirdo, and he bought Twitter because he could, and he doesn't give a shit. He lost billions of dollars, and he doesn't give a fuck. And it's like, okay, he's a character and all that. But Twitter, a new rule that they've implemented is that they are getting rid of people. They're getting rid of two-step authentication for accounts that don't have the blue mark. So it's like if you're not an official account that doesn't pay the $8 a month, you're not going to have two-step authentication for your account. And so it's like, you know what? I don't need that. Like,
it's not worth it.
And you remember that? Like, I tried to set up that Google authenticator, and then my phone basically started going crazy, and I'm getting all these like spam thing. Like, it's like, we've detected phishing content on your phone, and it wouldn't even let me go on Google. And it's like, you know what? I don't need this kind of headache, and I just deleted the authenticator, and then everything was fine. And it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna get rid of it. It's like, why?
Yeah, that's too much drama.
It's like, and like, wasn't Twitter like about a month or so ago too? Like, wasn't Twitter hacked?
I wouldn't be too surprised.
Like,
I don't know.
Like, there was like a data leak, and it's like, am I really going to get rid of two-step authentication when something like that happens? And am I really going to pay $8 for something that I can already like had that like need fulfilled from like Facebook or Instagram? It's like, come on. Yeah.
Why pay when you can get it for free?
Yeah, there's that too.
We like free. I love free.
Yeah, free
I
is
like
nice.
money.
I like money, like a lot.
Which, speaking of like things in the future, what is that? Idiocracy?
Yeah.
How far in the future was that? Like 500 years in the future?
Oh, yeah, I don't remember,
so.
But yeah, it's very bleak, but also hilarious. Dude, you like money and sex? We should like hang out sometime. Yeah. And of course, you've got fucking Terry Crews as president. Can we all agree that Terry Crews is a national treasure?
Oh my God, he's amazing.
Power!
And what's the other guy that he does those Old Spice commercials with? Mustafa something?
Yeah.
Something or other?
And they're like arguing with Big Love! Guess who? It's, yeah.
Oh no!
Oh no!
But anywho.
Yeah, anyways.
We're all over the place on this podcast. We definitely went all over the place with movies and nostalgia, childhood, true confessions, and here we are winding down, and I wanted to go into the future a little bit and say, what's it going to be like 1,000 years from now, and just some food for thought. Hey, you know what? If any of our listeners have any feedback on what they think the world's going to be like 1,000 years from now, we'd love to hear from you. In fact, we'd love to hear from any of our listeners when it comes to anything that we talked about today or any of our other podcasts along the way, even our past ones. Stay in touch with us. I wanted to definitely put out there that we are not only officially on Facebook, we are on Spotify, we are on Amazon, we are on Apple, and we are now on YouTube. Woo! Yay! So, with that in mind, stay in touch, follow us, like us, love us, and give us some feedback. Let us know what you think, and if there's anything that you'd like to hear us talk about or throw out there informationally, give us our give your heartfelt, humble opinions on this podcast. And until next week, how about if we wrap things up and call it a day?
Definitely can. And let us know what you think about our theme song too. Right.
Aside from the fact that it is It is a Grammy winner next year.
All right.
It's all on you.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Thank you very much, and meow meow. We love you all. All right.
Over and out.